I'm going to say some things that might trigger some people, but I just had an aha moment and I got to speak it into the universe. So follow this train of thought with me. So advancements or changes in language globally tends to be led by Black people. This goes for all forms of art / creativity, from dance to performance, different kinds of art, which also includes language. And I have noticed an increasing shift away from the phrase on God when we talk about what lyrics like famous rappers are using, especially, and personally, I'm only listening to women rappers. That's just me. But especially as it relates to the women rappers that are dominating the game right now. I'm talking Glorilla, I'm talking Doechii, I'm talking Meg, the list goes on, right? The language is shifting away from on God to on my mama more and more and more, right? And this is not just to do with Victoria Monet's like Grammy winning song. This has been happening long before. But I just had a little aha moment about this because I've been hearing less and less on God and more on my mama. I'm going to take a brief second for those of you who might be lost a little bit along the way. So both phrases are used as like, in this specific case, right? Kind of like a putting your hand on the Bible, like, oh, I'm telling the truth on God, or like, it's like a putting your hand on the Bible situation where it's like, okay, like, promise not to lie, promise to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Now, people were moving away. Oh, another thing just came into mind. People were moving away from, okay, hand on the Bible, this is my truth. They took a step away from that to on God, this is my truth. And now we've reached the point where it's on my mama. So follow me here. Hand on the Bible, this is my truth. That phrase, hand on the Bible, is very Christian specific. And Christianity, as we know it, as we've all experienced it, unfortunately very white-centered, very male-centered. That phrase it becomes more archaic. And then what comes in next is on God. Now, God, it's much more ambiguous, it's a little bit more inclusive, if you will. But the idea of God tends to be male across all major religions. Not tends to be, is male across all major religions. That is a phrase that I really heard in a lot of male rappers, especially growing up, right? But then that also starts to become more archaic. And then what comes next? On my mama. Now, and this is the part that might make some people triggered. On my mama. Your mom is the closest, like moms and grandmas for a lot of people. And this is like putting briefly on the corner a lot of people that have mom trauma, mother wounds. But even so, for I would dare say the vast majority of people, your mom and your grandma are the closest thing to an actual God that you have come in contact with. A lot of people may or may not believe in God, but they do believe in the power of their mother's prayers. They do believe in the power of their grandmother's dreams, especially if you are Black, especially if you are Caribbean or African, because the way that my mom and her dreams, it gets creepy. So this phrase that started with hand on the Bible, I'ma speak the whole truth and nothing but the truth. That phrase and the evolution of that phrase, yes, it is I'm going to swear to something that is important to me in general, but it's also a swearing to something that you know is more powerful than you. It's a thing that holds you accountable above all else. And it started in the States anyway, with the Bible being that thing. And then we have separated from the unfortunate realities that comes with a lot of the Christian faith, right? We are seeing that play out in the US as we speak. Right now in real time, moved away from that to on God. And then people started decentering religion, asking questions that religion, as we've been taught it, cannot answer. And then we've made our way as a society, starting with the Black people, especially in the US, We've started to linguistically shift away from, okay, that's not the most powerful thing. That is not the thing that will hold me accountable when I am face to face with the universe itself. What will hold me accountable? My mama. What is the most powerful entity that I can fathom in this universe that I know for a fact to be true? My mother. Now, who was the first person to coin the phrase on my mama or whatever, right? I don't know. I don't know. Could I look into this? Maybe. Will I? Probably not. I've got sushi right next to me. Oh, but Shayna, it's probably not that deep. It's probably nom, nom, nom. When was the last time you heard somebody say on my daddy? When was the last time you heard somebody say on my grandpappy? Now, I have heard some people say something like on Jesus Devante Christ, but I think that was more as a tee-hee-hee than anything else. Oh my God. Hi. For those of you who are new here, my name is Shayna. I'm a journalist. I talk a lot about decentering when there's something on my nose. I'll deal with that later. I think I got it. Okay. I talk a lot about decentering men and child-free living on this page. If any of that sounds like a vibe, please like, share, and subscribe. There's a whole bunch of other content that I make that's over on Patreon. Check it out. If you're interested, definitely subscribe. And if you'd like to start your freelance writing journey, I've got a whole course on that. Links for all of that will be in the description. But yeah, listen, I don't want to get sacrilegious on here. I mean, maybe a little bit. I don't know. I have a complex relationship with the church. And I know there's a lot of people on here that are pretty Christian. Listen, I don't want to sway you one way or another, but it's my job as a journalist just to ask questions. And here's another just general question. Not necessarily to you, but just to the universe. I wonder how many people really, if you really like boil it down, how many people really believe in the power, like have evidence of the power of the Bible or the power of prayer or not prayer, but like of the power of the Christian church more specifically? Or do you believe in the power of your mother and grandmother's prayers? And I'm going to make this even larger. Let's take Christianity out of this. I feel like a lot of people, myself included, I will put myself into this. I know that my mother, she's tapped into something powerful on the other side. I've seen too much to not have evidence of that. And I think that wherever she places the direction in which she faces, where she chooses to invoke that power, I'm like, is it the thing that she is looking at, or is it coming from within where the power is? I don't know, but I will dare to say that a lot of us, especially as children, recognize that thing emanating from our mothers, from our grandmothers, from the matriarchs of our family, especially Black people. And I just find it interesting that the more that we're able to call a thing, especially because I think this is a thing that we've noticed throughout generations, but as we have been able to be more financially independent, we've been able to decenter men at a societal level, at least in the US. And as that happens, and generations get older, the thing that we've always seen, we've been able to call by its name without fear of retribution, without fear of, oh, well, I don't know, whatever that would be in a male-focused society that really wants a male-centered God and structure to exist, right? But with more independence comes the ability to ask, to question freely. And as we have, language itself is being changed and decentering men. I just find this interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Please type them in the comment section. Now I'm going to go eat this sushi. Please be safe out there.